Okay guys, I have a very interesting video for you. Back in the day, probably around 1995, there was a company called SIRIUS who was producing movies for computers back before people even had DVD players. And this was the first one which I bought, which was called Cyber City. I think that says, I don't know, Cyber City Demo, whatever. I can't really read it. Looks like a D and an E and a 00, whatever. But the story was about this guy right here who is in prison, and criminals in Japan, kind of like a cyberpunk adventure, were out of control. So they had to get people that were as crazy as the criminals to go after other criminals. So they started making prisoners in jail who qualified to be cops, and every time they busted somebody, they got their sentence reduced. But it goes into another story about some guy that died, and his body got linked up to a mainframe computer, and he was mad at the corporation, so he started killing people in the corporation, and this guy had to stop him. And it's actually 3 parts. It's this guy's story, this guy with the mohawk, and this guy right here. They all have their own story, and they're about 45 minutes or an hour long. But this, let me see if I can get to this. As you can see, right here, it required Windows 3.1 or Windows 95, 46 with a 66 processor, 8 megs of RAM, 8 meg RAM, hard drive space, double speed CD-ROM, local bus video adapter, 1 meg RAM, 128K level 2 cache, 100% Sound Blaster Pro compatible sound card with speakers. Recommended was Windows 95, Pentium, 16 meg RAM, in quad speed CD-ROM drive, PC bus video adapter with 1 meg RAM, 256K level 2 cache. So let me just open this up. This is the it held about an hour of video. Sorry, I hate doing this with one hand, but just on a regular. Let me get this out of here. It's just a regular CD. Just a regular CD. And some people actually bought these to watch on their computer. I actually bought one for my sister when she was in college. I bought her because my sister likes horror movies, and I bought her Night of the Living Dead, the old 1960s zombie movie, and I think that might be around someplace in the house, but because she didn't really care about it. Since the quality is so bad, I think she probably owns it on DVD. But I remember, I think CompUSA was selling these for like $1. They were pretty cheap because they only made about 30 or 40 of these movies on this format, and they didn't sell that well. And I got Mortal Kombat. Quality on this is pretty bad. Basically, what they did was they tried to put some filters that you could put on the tell the computer, hey, I want, it's kind of hard to explain. It was kind of like a filter, so I don't know, lines would go diagonally or horizontal. Try to clean up some of the problems in the video, because these videos were actually very pixelated. And I think there were like a couple of different settings. I don't know if you guys ever played around with an arcade emulator. Now that the computer screens are such high resolution, even back in the day, even like 10 years ago, the old arcade monitors were even lower resolution. And basically what there were filters that try to emulate that type of resolution. So let's say you have 10 pixels would try to emulate 1 pixel, if that makes any sense. So everything would kind of like fall into place a little bit better. So that's what this software did. It had some filter effects to try to blend the low resolution pixels on a higher resolution monitor. So a lot of people don't know about this format. You know, just show you the back of the boxes right here. I had a friend, I think it was we're at Best Buy, and he bought I think it was Macross or the Robotech or Bubblegum Crisis, I can't remember. They were like $1 or $2 each or something. And I remember one time I was at Square One Mall in Massachusetts, and I was talking to the kid at EB Games, or EB or whatever, which is now GameStop, and the guy from the company called, and he says, how are they selling? He goes, I don't think they're going to be, then nobody's buying them. He says, I think it's going to be a failure. I mean, in which it was. I mean, it was just inevitable with DVDs, but I mean, when I gave it to my sister, I bought her one when she went to college, because she had, you know, back then computers were pretty big, and you know, she had a Packard Bell, and she didn't really have any room in her dorm for a television set, so I bought her one of these, and all her friends were watching it. I mean, I think Night of the Living Dead probably was the best one, because it was black and white, and it was easy for the computer to process black and white video than a color movie. I mean, anime was probably second best if you get, you know, if you want to watch something, because anime usually is only about 15 colors, maybe a little bit more on screen, and when you're dealing with video, you're talking about multiple colors. I mean, you can just have a shadow on something, and that actually changes the color of something. I mean, if you just look at this blanket in the video, I mean, this is a blue blanket, but if you see the shadows, it actually changes the texture of the color. So the full motion live video movies like The Mask or the Mortal Kombat were really actually pretty shitty, actually. But, you know, just in case you guys want to know a little movie history that's, you know, kind of not really that important, it was called MovieCD, full-length feature films for your PC, and, you know, they were available for, well, I ran it on Windows 98, but these came out, I guess, with Windows 95, but they made them backwards compatible with Windows 3.1, so yeah. People were watching this type of crap on Windows 3.1, if you can believe it or not. I will say this. I mean, I actually became a fan of Cyber City. I don't know. What is this? I don't know. I guess it's Cyber City 808 Data 1. It looks like a 0 and an E and another 00. I don't know what the real name of this, because I can't tell what these letters are, but I actually became a fan of this anime. I own it on DVD. This guy had a really interesting story, the guy with the mohawk. This guy had an interesting story. This one had a pretty interesting story, this guy right here. And this was when anime was actually really cool, and when I was actually a fan of anime back when you know, the cool stuff. I mean, I saw this in the 90s, but I believe it's from the 80s, where anime was actually really sci-fi, and actually had some real stories to tell, really great science fiction stories. You know, let me just put a little bit more focus on this. But nowadays, I mean, I think what ruined anime was Pokemon. Not to, you know, anybody's a Pokemon fan, but companies they knew that was the cash cow for, you know, anything with Pokemon. It became Digimon and so on. And the cyberpunk stuff really took kind of a back seat to anime, which was kind of sad, because they actually put out a lot of great stuff. Fist of the North Star, Robotech, there was a lot of great... I mean, they still produce a lot of this stuff, but at the same time, it has been suffering some of this, you know, great anime from Japan, which was from the 80s. So if you want to see something that's really cool, check out Cyber City. Probably get it on Netflix or order the DVD from Amazon.com. Alright guys, I'm out. Have a good one. Later.